when Gallup did a poll on our views on sex, some interesting things came up. And it's not just about sex, it was actually about what is morally acceptable or not. But I found the sex questions interesting, of course. What was the most morally acceptable among these four categories? The four categories were sex between a man that is unmarried and a woman that's unmarried. So, you know, premarital sex, you would imagine. Could be postmarital as well. Gay or lesbian relationships, pornography, married men and women having an affair. Well, you know, the first part of this is not surprising. The most morally acceptable was people who are not married having sex, okay? That's up at 59%. Only 38% find that morally wrong. I'm actually amused by the 38%. Really? We're still in the, you know, 1726 or whatever? Like, oh, I'm supposed to wait till marriage? And then that's morally wrong? Oh, come on. It's called America. Look into it. Here's who's having sex before marriage. Everyone. So please spare me your 38%. That 38%, I guarantee you, had sex before marriage. Okay, keep it real. But that's the best category. But here's good news. Gay or lesbian relationships, now considered overall morally acceptable, 54%. 42% say that they are morally wrong, and I am amused at how little I care about their opinion. Okay, and I'll tell you why. It's like if we lived in bizarre world, and it was considered morally wrong to be straight. Oh my God, a man having sex with a woman, that is disgusting. You better not hold hands in public, that disgusts me, right? I'd be like, yeah, and I care because why? Look, here's my answer, piss off. Who I have sex with, who I have a relation with is of no consequence to you. But luckily the country has swung on that at least, and it is now overall acceptable. Now here is the stunning number. Pornography. 31% find it morally acceptable. 64% find it morally wrong. Oh, come on! Who are you kidding? Of that 64% who find it morally wrong, 128% watched porn yesterday. Okay, come on. Morally wrong? Morally wrong. What is this, Victorian England? What is this? You're crazy. One, I don't believe you. I believe you watch porn all the time, okay? And we've done story after story about how, for example, red states that find it more morally wrong, watch more porn, right? And second of all, you don't really think it's morally wrong. You know what it is? It's a lot of guys who afterwards like, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that again, man? I gotta get rid of my stash. Okay? No, there's nothing wrong with porn, okay? Let's snap out of it, man. These are depressing numbers when you look at how ridiculously we judge other people's sex lives and what they do with it, even if they're having sex with themselves. And then finally, out of all the things that were polled as moral or immoral, and that list includes birth control and gambling and suicide and abortion, etc., the thing that polled the absolute worst, the most immoral thing you could do, married men and women having an affair. Only 7% found it morally acceptable. 89% said that it was morally wrong. Now, I bring you that because that's really interesting. So there are questions in this country about whether we should allow gay people to get married, what rights should gays have and not have, but because that is immoral, that is considered by some to be immoral. But wait a minute. The most immoral thing in the country, according to Americans, is cheating on your wife or cheating on your husband. So why isn't there laws against that? Why don't we say, hey, you know what? People who cheat on their wives can't serve in the military. I mean, that was just the law a couple of months ago, right? The gays couldn't serve in the military. Don't ask, don't tell. So why don't we do that for people who cheat? I mean, they're the most immoral people in the country, right? But there's no laws about that. How about people who cheat on their spouse can't get remarried? Because, you know, they would ruin the sanctity of marriage. But that's literal. They actually would ruin the sanctity of marriage. But there's no laws against that. So isn't it interesting when people tell you that they're pushing laws based on morality, but don't actually care what people think are moral and immoral? You know, of course, why that is. Because they cheat on their wives and husbands, and they don't want to be discriminated on. They want to discriminate on others. And it's easy to say, hey, there's the gays and lesbians, they're others. Let's discriminate against them. And by the way, there's a logical reason why people think that cheating on your spouse is immoral. There is not a logical reason to believe that being gay is immoral. So Now, you could disagree. I mean, apparently 7% of the country disagrees, saying that, hey, you know what, cheating on your wife rocks. Okay, it's totally morally acceptable.